New live edition of Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. As we come to you live this Monday, as always, from Bill Penney Toyota, sitting out here in the service department. They can take care of all your service needs Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and then on Saturday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. The doors are open here. You can bring any vehicle in. They'll service your vehicle. Just give them a call, 256-837-1111. It is the Bill Penney Toyota Service Department. And we are 1 week from today, when we join you next week on a Monday, when we join you and we come on, we will be live from Atlanta for this year's SEC Media Days. We can see the finish line, or the start line, so to speak. Next Monday, we will hear, not during the show, but after our show, we will hear from LSU's Brian Kelly, Ole Miss's Lane Kiffin, and Eli Drinkwitz of Missouri on that Monday. That is how we will get started with SEC Media Days at the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta 1 week from today.
Yeah, we are looking forward to it, no doubt about it. We'll be talking some SEC football as kind of the rite of passage, a few weeks before fall camp, Scott, in early August. And so it's just the final countdown and really the beginning of the season, the cycle that I like to call it. There's a lot of pomp and circumstance and hype and optimism because nobody's practiced yet.
Right.
Nobody's played a game. There's been no injuries, hopefully. During the serious ones anyway, during the off season. So, and if there was, it was back in spring practice. So hopefully you're going to get some people back. But again, Georgia, the defending national champions, Alabama, of course, just narrowly missing another title under Nick Saban. I think they'll be your two heavy favorites when you're talking about the media poll and whatnot for each division.
Right.
We didn't now. I don't know how many more times they're going to be able to say that, since they're probably going to get rid of division.
Right.
But I think they're going to be the two heavy favorites.
Oh, they will be. They will be.
I think Alabama will probably be the SEC overall favorite. Georgia will still get votes and things because anytime both of them return their quarterbacks, that's the most important position in college football, really in football, period.
Right.
But I think the difference will be Alabama has a lot of star power returning on defense. Georgia is having to retool, though I think they have a lot of talent. Let's not misunderstand anything about that, but I think they've recruited very well. And so I think, it's going to be interesting. Georgia's got a lot of offensive talent to replace because guys like James Cook, George Pickens, Zeus White, they all moved on.
Yeah.
Now they do have the freakazoid, Brock Bowers at tight end. And then Alabama, they've got, to replace a lot of production as well with Brian Robinson moving on to the NFL, with the two wide receivers, J-Mo and John Mechie. But Alabama has got, I think, the transfers that we're going to look at. One, the most intriguing part is one's from Georgia, Jermaine Burton. Yeah. So we will see how quickly those guys hit the ground running. And for Alabama, who I think by many people will be the preseason number one, we'll see. That's going to be the key. I've been saying that. Is how quickly these new pieces offensively fit in and can hit the ground running.
So I'm going back into the archives a little bit. I remember when Steve Spurrier was there with Florida. I remember Tim Tebow coming. I remember the whole Philip Fulmer situation, coming to SEC Media Days, not coming to SEC Media Days.
The speakerphone?
Yep. I'm trying to think. Yeah. Where the anticipation or the excitement lies with this year's SEC Media Days. Is this one of the most anticipated SEC Media Days because we want to hear from Texas A&M, we want to hear from Nick Saban, we want to hear their thoughts on the transfer portal and the recruiting stuff? I'm trying to think of where the anticipation level from our side. I know the fans are kind of like, well, it's not football games yet. Okay, great. After a couple days, it's just kind of like, it's just the same rhetoric. From our perspective, where does the anticipation level, the excitement level fall into? Because right off the gate, we get Brian Kelly. I mean, Notre Dame head coach making the rounds in SEC media days, which he has never done because Notre Dame being in an independent, he has never had to go through anything like this except when he maybe was with Cincinnati for a smidge. You know, they had maybe a day or a couple hours for them to do this, but he's never experienced anything like this. So I'm wondering what the anticipation level is.
Well, I think it'll still be widely anticipated.
Day or a couple
I think
hours
a lot of
for
it
them
is
to
going
do
be
this,
about dirt
but
neck,
he's never experienced
and
anything
how he's
like
going
this.
to
So I'm
handle the
wondering what the
media
anticipation
after he
level
said
is.
Nick Saban should be
Well, I
slapped
think it'll
for
still be
Right.
widely
Day or a
anticipated. I
couple
think a lot
hours
of
for
it
them
is
to
going
do
to be
this,
about
but
what
he's
they
never
did, thanks
experienced
and
anything
how
like
moron
this. So I'm
on his
wondering what the
media staff who lets
anticipation
everybody
level
use their
is.
cell phone or
Well, I think
slap
it'll
whatever
still
and
be
just
Right.
widely
Day or a
anticipated. I
couple
think a lot
hours
of
for
it
them
is
to
going to
do
be
this,
about
but
pay
he's
to
never
come here
experienced
and
anything
how
like
moron
this. So
on
what
his
is
coaching
the
staff who lets
anticipation
everybody
level?
use their cell phone or
Well, I think
slap
it'll still
or
be
just
Right.
I'm going to be
Day or
hit
a
after
couple
Nick
hours
Saban got
for them to do
drilled
this, but he's
by
never
the
experienced
media for
anything
taking
like this. So
saying
what
it's
is
out
the
there,
anticipation
insinuating
level?
something Nick Saban
Well, I
right.
think
How
it'll
the
be
media is
Right.
I'm going to be
Day
hit
or a
after
couple
Nick
hours
Saban
for
got
them to
drilled.
do
Are
this,
they going to
but
give him
he's
at least
never
by the
experienced
somewhat
anything
take
like
some
this.
questions out there, insinuating I've been trying to decide
Well,
what
I
how
think
the media is
Right.
widely
Day
on
or
it
a
after
couple
Nick Saban
hours
got
for
are
them
they
to
going
do
to
this,
give
but
him
he's
at
never
least
experienced
somewhat
anything
I think
like
it's
this.
probably out there called on
Insinuating
me.
something
I've been
else
trying to
going
decide
on.
what how
Right.
the media is
Right.
widely on
Day
it
or a
after
couple
Nick
hours
Saban
for
got
them to do
I
this,
think what
but
I would
he's
like to
never
ask
experienced
somewhat
anything
I
like
think
this.
it's probably out
How
there
are you
calling on
doing?
me not
I've
even
been
roster
trying to
decide how
decide
different
Right.
management roster after Nick Saban some when there's a
what I
test
would like to ask
where there's certain guys that make more money than others. A lot of those guys are going to be freshmen to the roster. And some of them, there's a test made players where
Right.
they see how these slots guys that make more money than others. A lot of those guys said, I mean, I wish we could hook up a lie detector to it and watch it go up and down
Right.
and see how these slots guys that make because I think it's still a lie. A lot of those guys said, I mean, I wish we could hook up a lie detector to it and watch it go up and down
Right.
and see how these slots guys that make Tennessee he basically said, I wish they could hook up a lie detector situation where Fulmer didn't want to be served with a court order because he was lying through his teeth and trying to get Alabama on probation. Of course, it came back to Carmen bite him in the ass because he's been fired twice since then.
Yeah.
And so
Once as a coach and once as an AD.
And then Tennessee came back has lost 15 in a row to Alabama because he's been fired twice 15 in a row to
Yeah.
Alabama.
Once as a coach and once as an AD.
And then Tennessee came back. I will say this: 15 in a row to Alabama. I do think probably 15 in a row to Alabama.
Yeah. Once as a coach and once as an AD.
Excitement and all that. I will say this: I think Texas A&M probably 15 in a row.
Yeah. Once as a coach and once as an AD.
Excitement and all that. I think Texas A&M Tennessee gets 15 in a row.
Yeah. Once as a coach and once as an AD.
Excitement and all that. I think Texas A&M Tennessee I kind of like Kentucky better.
Yeah. Once as a coach and once as an AD.
Excitement and all that. I kind of like Tennessee.
Once as a coach and once as an
that right there makes Tennessee right. Tennessee that right there makes Tennessee right. I know they've missed all they've also hit on recently. Well, Tennessee that's the way we're I know they've missed They've also hit on recently. Well, Tennessee hit on Tennessee.
256-576-4977. That is the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Money from you on 256-576-4977. That is the number 2 in Atlanta. The neighbors will want to know the rest of the lineup. Well, here's how it looks. On Tuesday of next week, we will get Alabama, Nick Saban, Mississippi State, Mike Leach. The neighbors will want to know the rest of the lineup. And Vanderbilt, Clark, Tuesday. That'll be your Tuesday lineup. Wednesday, Mississippi State, Mike Leach. The neighbors will want to know the rest of the lineup. And Vanderbilt, Georgia, Tuesday. That'll be your Tuesday lineup. Wednesday, Tuesday, 20 in your morning solo, your day session on Thursday, your next Jimbo Fisher. That is an interesting trio. Morning solo, your day session. Brian Hudson, Will have Jimbo Fisher talk about dog stuff because a lot of Brian Hudson did not national media-wise did not Will have Jimbo Fisher talk about dog day because a lot of Brian Hudson did not national media-wise did not Will have talking about hyper talk power. Then you got Fisher on the same day. So you may not get a lot of fireworks on Thursday, but the last 3 days, you got Saban on Tuesday. You may not get any percentages pretty hard in March, but the last 3 days, you got Saban punching the bag on the NIL. You may not get any percentages then Thursday, and the last 4 days, great 4 days, you got Saban punching the bag on the NIL. You may not get any percentages then Thursday, and the last 4 days, great 4 days, you got Saban punching the bag on the NIL.
Newer, and people, behind the scenes trying to trump up things on his family and just doing things in a way that's just unethical in my opinion. I felt sorry for his family behind the scenes trying to trump up he didn't live up to the expectations at Auburn, and he had a losing season, but just unethical in my opinion. I felt sorry for his family. I never think a coach especially didn't live up to the expectations at Auburn, and he had a losing season. You have to allow him to set his culture. Nick Saban was 7-6 his first year at Alabama, so I never agreed that Marshall should be shown the door. I mean, to me, you should never hire him. Nick Saban was 7-6 that much first year at Alabama. You should never let him do it. Let Allen Hughes do that. I mean, to me, he did. So I think he needs to give the guys at least 2 years at Alabama. Certainly, if not 3. But we all know he's all happy with Chad Morris. So I will say, the guys, I think I've said this on the show repeatedly, Scott. Missouri, we all know he's all happy with Chad Morris. But I was going to say Arkansas under Chad Morris, pardon me. Arkansas was poor. I saw those football teams, and I saw that Auburn team last year. That Auburn team was a lot better than anything I ever saw out of Chad Morris. I saw that, it's not even close. So, to me, he deserves a chance to improve than anything I ever saw. The staff that he wants in there, whether it's a lot of football he had from Oregon State or not. He deserves a shot to put his input on Auburn football. Yes, recruiting has been slow so far with course we have been so sad at the same time. He kind of made his bed. What I mean by this is almost fire a guy and let him out of town after a year. It's one to make people like take a step back. Is this guy going to be here? How good a team are they going to have? A lot of it is Carson. It's going to come down to make people like take a step back. I know some kids are making earlier decisions now because of teams in the summer, but I still think Auburn's got a chance to have a solid recruiting class. Maybe a very solid one if they make earlier decisions. And so that's what it's going to come down to. Coach Carson, certainly I think he deserves a shot to prove himself. Luckily, Auburn starts out with 5 straight home games, so they have an opportunity to start quickly. But I do think he deserves a shot to prove one of the top 2 or 3 or 4 topics that SEC is going to be Brian Marshall. But I do think he deserves a shot to prove one of the top 2 or 3 or 4 topics. Doesn't mean they're coming true, but probably this will be the lowest we've seen Auburn predicted to finish in the SEC West in years, maybe ever, because there's some speculation it could be 7th or even no better than 6th for Auburn. and that's pretty amazing because Auburn is a very solid program traditionally. Personally, I hope A&M finishes last. I won't predict them to finish last, probably, though I hate them, and because of Dirt Neck. But again,
anybody questions that.
I would hope that Texas A&M finishes dead last, and he would get fired at the end of the season. That would be hilarious to me. And you've already gone over the numbers. I guess it would be $80-something million that they would owe him for the rest of his life. But I just think it would be hilarious if they had to write a check that big. Of course, I don't think that they'll finish last, unfortunately, but I will certainly be rooting for them to go 0-12.
Coming up here in just a little bit, Will Vandervoort will join the show. We're going to talk some Clemson football. They got some news as they land Peter Woods out of Thompson High School. And Peter Woods had some interesting comments to say about Dabo Swinney versus Nick Saban. Here is Peter Woods' comments. Every time I set it up perfectly, the internet just moves slow. All right. Well, let's get this pulled up here real fast before we get to Jeff here. In case you had not heard it, here is Peter Woods on Nick Saban.
Dabo, to me, is a lot more lively. He's a lot more understanding of teenage life, and he says all the time he specializes in 18 to 24-year-old men. So, and I really believe that's true.
That was Peter Woods.
Yeah,
and his comments, Dabo versus Nick Saban.
Yeah, garbage. Pretty much to me. I mean, I do think Dabo relates really well to youth. I'm not saying that part of it.
Right.
I'm saying that Nick Saban doesn't relate to players is stupidity. Okay, that's just something they were sold in recruiting. But if Nick Saban doesn't relate to players so much, why does he turn out the most pros? Why does he recruit the best classes every year? Why is his program the best? Why is he won 6 national championships in the last 13 if he doesn't relate to players very well and he's not lively? Why? That's a stupid comment. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying it's really not it's not smart, and what it could get you if you meet up in the playoff is an ass whipping. So
he's 17, 18-year-old.
I know he is. That's what I'm saying. It's just it's a kind of just you're a young guy. You're trying to give a reason why you chose Clemson, which is a great program. It took a dip last year. I know that's what I want to ask Will Vandervoort about. How are you going to rebound, because they've had to replace a lot of coaches that did a great job on that coaching staff. But I think Peter Woods kind of throwing shade at Nick Saban isn't very smart. And so, again, I hope you do well at Clemson, but we've already seen Henry To'oTo'o come back in the transfer portal when he went to Tennessee and took a lot of thumpings. And then the coach that recruited him was dismissed. Not going to happen at Clemson. Too much equity for Dabo Swinney, and I don't see Dabo ever being an NFL guy or something to that effect. But again, I don't think it's really smart throwing shade at the greatest college football coach ever, and that's what Nick Saban is. And again, they just played to the national championship last year, while Clemson, struggled. Let's just put it mildly last year, comparative to what they had done in previous years under Dabo Swinney. So you hope Clemson's about to rebound, and they're recruiting really well. And this new staff is fascinating to me how they're going to do. But basically throwing shade at Nick Saban, I mean, and not the best choice of words for Peter Woods. I'll say that because, again, if Clemson rebounds, you're going to see Alabama in the playoff, and it won't be forgotten.
All right, 256-576-4977. Let's go to Jeff from the Borough this morning. Good morning, Jeff.
How's it going, guys?
Morning, Jeff.
Well, the Braves keep rolling. I guess they're going to sweep the Mets this week.
I hope so.
Yeah. I mean, you think they can? Or, I mean, was it 3 games out? I know it was 10.
They're a 1.5 out, Jeff. It's a 1.5 series, and they need to get this first one today. It's going to be a heck of a matchup with the two Maxes, Max Fried going up against Max Scherzer. Max Fried coming off now. He's named his first All-Star game.
Yeah, I know Scherzer hadn't pitched that much, and the Mets are still winning. So I mean, they're doing real well. They're not doing it with smoke and mirrors, but they do have pretty good pitching, and they've hit a little bit. So they've hit just enough to stay in first place. So, but I know they'll play a bunch more times. So I know it's not, it'd be nice to be in first place at the All-Star break, but it don't guarantee you anything. So, but well, Kentucky had a pretty good week. A week on the recruiting trail, got 4 commits. So so we can find some nuts and pecans every now and again, can't we?
We got one out of the state of Alabama.
Oh yeah, well, I mean,
out of Mars Hill Bible.
He's a good player, Jeff. He may end up following in that lineage. Kentucky's had a lot of good centers under Mark Stoops, and I think that's where Kobe Keenum will end up playing. He's coming from a great high school program as well at Mars Hill. It's a small school program, but they do a great job over there, and they're moving up to 3A. But he's a really good player. That could be another steal like a Logan Stenberg was a few years ago from James Clemens.
Well, we got a Drake Jackson should be playing if he was a little bit bigger, but we got one in the Hall of Famer, Monty Dawson back today. So he's in the Hall of Fame, he's in the Hall of Fame. So so we got a few, not many in the Hall of Fame, but he's one of them. So we'll find a few of them. We got a tight end from Kentucky yesterday, so from Louisville. So we got 5 kids from the state of Kentucky, so that's important. But they've got 11 now, so we'll just see what happens. So, but are any of them going to get downgraded? I remember when Randall Cobb committed, he got downgraded from I think a 3-star to a 2-star because he committed to Kentucky. Will any of them get downgraded because they committed to Kentucky?
I don't know, man, but Randall Cobb's my favorite Kentucky player of all time. I still think he's underrated for what he did in the SEC. And
no, I'm talking about coming out of high school. I ain't talking about coming out of high school.
I know, but I'm just saying the minute I saw Randall Cobb, because I don't know if you heard the beginning of the show, but we were talking about Philip Fulmer's downfall and him coming out of Antioch, Tennessee, and the Vols not pursuing him heavily enough until too late. That was basically one of the beginnings of the end for Phil Fulmer, allowing a kid like that not to play for Tennessee.
Yeah, he went over to
Alcoa. You're right. I'm sorry.
He with a bunch of students went over there to try to get him to come, and he basically told Fulmer. He said you're too late. I'm going to Kentucky. He basically told him to his face. So, but no, you still don't fire coaches who win natties. But that's why Tennessee has had 15 years or whatever it is of no good football. But the Fulmer should have had his own way out, and they wouldn't do it. So, but that's Tennessee's problem. But I guess guys, I guess it's 7 days to media days, and I guess we'll be hearing all the talking down there next week or whatever from the coaches. So y'all hang in there, guys. Have a good week.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, we will. We'll talk more about SEC Media Days, but we'll also talk Clemson football when we return live from Bill Penney Toyota.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Good morning. Still looking for accidents this morning. We're just not finding anything. Traffic building in steadily. You're at a heavy traffic load on most of the routes, but we don't have any snags for you. You be careful. Maybe we can keep it that way. D&L Refrigeration repairs heating and air conditioning units for homes and businesses. D&L 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Nick in the North Parkway, Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
When our lives were interrupted, Madison Academy immediately began distance learning instruction thanks to our Apple device program and a well-prepared faculty.
When our success in athletics led to a new competitive balance rule, Madison Academy was prepared to face the new challenges head-on.
We understand a thing or two about winning, and it always begins with preparation. Learn how our balanced approach to learning prepares the mind, body, and soul. Visit our website at macademy.org to learn more. Strong minds, strong faith. That's Madison Academy.
The boys of summer are heating up. The Atlanta Braves are locked in and ready. And the Braves Radio Network's making sure you don't miss a single moment.
And he sends another drive to left. This might be a grand salami. It's gone! Home run!
Tonight, the huge division battle rolls on for the Braves in Atlanta as they square off with Francisco Lindor and the New York Mets. Braves Radio's on the air at 6:05 Eastern, 5:05 Central on the Braves Radio Network.
Wendy's new Strawberry Frosty is here, so check your watch. Is it Frosty time yet? It probably is. The hour hand would be on, I'm feeling snacky. And the minute hand would be on, relaxing with a rich, creamy Strawberry Frosty on a summer day, just digging into that smooth, chilly deliciousness and vibing. You know, depending on what kind of watch you have. When it's time for Frosty time, choose wisely. Choose Wendy's Frosty and Classic Chocolate or New Strawberry.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's. McCurry Motors is your car and van rental headquarters. You can rent the vehicle you need today. Family in town, sporting event, church function, no matter what your need, McCurry Motors has you covered with a wide selection of cars and vans available for rent. They have 12-passenger Mercedes Sprinter vans, 12-passenger Ford Transit vans, 15-passenger Ford Transit vans, and 15-passenger Chevrolet Express vans. They have 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville.
If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
In 1982, Bob Baumhauer introduced Alabama to the Buffalo Wild Wing, and quite frankly, we've never been the same. Back then, it was Wings and Things in Tuscaloosa, but now, 40 years later, after 4 name changes, Baumhauer's Victory Grill is the #1 sports-themed restaurant in the state. Bob's Alabama Hot Chicken is something that has to be tried to believe, plus the new Bam Bam Chicken and the Louisiana-style Go Fish, a whitefish over rice topped with shrimp etouffee. And Baumhauer's is fighting inflation with some new affordable favorites. Visit Baumhauer's on the South Parkway today.
We cover all the SEC schools, including Western Union and Venmo.
I want that money!
You know, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Eli Gold, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now more of Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on your home for Crimson Tide Sports 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Roll Tide.
And just like that, we are back live from Bill Penney Toyota, sitting out here in the service department. It is Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. They are open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday. For all your vehicle's needs, you don't have to have a Toyota. You can have any vehicle with 4 wheels. Just bring it on in here, even 2 wheels, I guess. Bring it on in here, and they will take care of all your service needs here at Bill Penney Toyota. Big thanks to everybody joining us and on Facebook Live, on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Just find us at 977 ESPN. We talked a little bit about Peter Woods' commitment from Thompson High School going to Clemson, choosing Clemson over Alabama. Clemson and Dabo Swinney trying to not only bring in some of those recruits, but rebound from what can be described in their terms and as a disappointing season last year.
Well, yeah. I mean, anytime you're a perennial playoff contender and you're used to winning the ACC championship and you're used to playing in the national semifinals, you've won 2 national championships. Really, I've said this on multiple occasions. You were the one program that looked Nick Saban's Alabama Crimson Tide in the eye, and you beat them multiple times, twice for a national championship in 16 and 18. Anytime you don't make the playoffs and you're not a national factor like Clemson wasn't last year, that's not something you're accustomed to. What Dabo Swinney has done is dominate the ACC basically since he took over in 2008, and he got it rolling. And for the one thing that he did do for a long time a lot like Bobby Bowden did back in the 90s, is he kept his coaching staff together for many, many years at Clemson. A lot of great coaches on that staff. But inevitably, when you win at the clip that Clemson was winning, eventually these young men or these guys are going to get their shot to run their own programs. Jeff Scott, Tony Elliott, now even Brent Venables has. And Brent even took some coaches with him like Todd Bates, even a Thad Turnipseed off the field. So it's going to be, to me, fascinating to see what Dabo does with his new staff. A lot of these guys he's promoted from within. He went and got Nick Eason, former Clemson All-American, to come from Auburn. He's already had a huge impact on the recruiting trail. We talked about the addition of five-star Peter Woods from Thompson High School. And now we're going to talk with our next guest. He's with Clemson SI. It's Sports Illustrated now with the Clemson website. He does a great job. The company is on Twitter at @all_Clemson, but Clemson Sports Illustrated's Will Vandervert is going to join us now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline to talk some Clemson football and recruiting for a few minutes. Will, welcome back to Huntsville with Drew and Scott. How are you this morning?
Hey, guys. How y'all doing?
We're doing real well. We appreciate your time. A huge feather in the cap for Clemson on Friday. People that were paying attention to this process for the last 2 to 3 weeks, I think, weren't surprised if you had followed the inside word and the back channel stuff with Peter Woods. It's still always surprising if Nick Saban loses a young kid out of his own state, but Dabo Swinney still has deep ties to the state of Alabama. Nick Eason did an amazing job recruiting him, but a huge victory for Clemson and Dabo Swinney in the state of Alabama on Friday.
Yeah, no doubt it was a big win for Clemson. Anytime you can go into Alabama and beat Nick Saban and the Crimson Tide, they've done it a couple times. Most recently, I guess Justin Ross would be guy that they beat out Alabama for. So it doesn't happen as often, but it's big when it does happen. It's just not something you go and do into Alabama. But Peter Woods, he grew up an Alabama guy who seemed like he was going to go to Alabama, and he's even said, I guess, a year before or so that he was an Alabama guy through and through. But Dabo, just his culture and the way he does things at Clemson related more to him than what Alabama does, and he talked about that on Friday with several media outlets on how that was the difference in why he chose Clemson over Alabama. Just felt like Clemson was a better fit for who he is as a person and what he wants to do, not just on the football field, but in the other parts of his life. And and that's good. That's refreshing, right? In this day and age, that a young man looks at everything and not just money with the NIL and championships and getting to the NFL. Understand that's the goal for most of these kids, and that's good. But it's refreshing to hear a young man that his goals ain't the same. And he really looked into, as we all did when we chose college, right? We looked into what's the best fit for what we want to do and where we want to get to, not just professionally, but personally as well. And that was good to see a young man kind of in this day and age make a decision based on those kind of things, other than just, getting to the NFL or how much NIL money he can make.
That kind of fits the Dabo Swinney mold, right? And how he's been recruiting, how he's handled pretty much everything to date, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, let's be honest. It's not like Clemson doesn't make sure these kids know they're going to have some NIL opportunities.
Oh, yeah,
nature.
No.
Yeah, so I don't want to act like Clemson's not doing that, because they're building a facility over at Clemson. It'll probably be done here pretty soon. That's connected to the football facility that the whole athletic department is going to use. It's going to be a branding facility for student athletes, so they can learn how to market themselves, how to brand themselves, and this is to help with the NIL, obviously, and so that's a big deal. And so Clemson's not naive that they got to make sure that these opportunities are there, and they got to help these their student athletes get to these opportunities. But it still is, Dabo's still at the core of who he is, and it's about getting young men to graduate from college and to be leaders in their community and those kinds of things. That's what he's shooting for more than anything with these young men. So I think that's kind of what his basis is, and then he kind of puts everything else around that So, but he's staying at his core. Now, he did change a couple things this year. He invited for the first time official visits to his camps. Is something he's being adamant against in the past. But this year he changed ways because he knew he had to. His times are changing. And so there's some other things they changed as well in their recruiting process. It's paying off right now with 17 commitments. Got a couple 5-stars now and 14 4 stars, excuse me. So they're doing really good right now on the recruiting trail.
Well, and Will, is Dabo gonna? Because one thing he has done in the past is when a kid's committed, is he gonna allow him to take visits to other schools, or is he changed that? Because I know that was a topic with Peter Woods, was because he never took an official visit to Alabama, and he took about 50 others. But because he's less than an hour down the road, but that's a great point you just made. He visited officially in the summer to Clemson, and it was a big reason why he committed to the Tigers. Is Dabo going to change his philosophy with that?
No, that part is still the same. Dabo's whole thing is if we're committing to you,
right,
and we're saying you're the guy we're going to sign, then we want you to commit to us as well. Because if you don't, and we put all our money and investment into you, I should say, then what happens if you choose to go to another school? Then they're left holding the bag and they don't have anybody to replace him. So he's big on, I'm going to commit to you, but I want you to commit to me as well. So that's still there. Dabo's always good about saying, hey, look, are you sure this is what you want to do? He always talks to a young man and asks, make sure this is what they want to do. If there's any hesitation, he will, and he has done it in the past. He's talked the kid out of committing to him because he felt hesitation from the young man and say, hey, look, how about you stay open, keep your recruitment open, see what you want to do. We'll continue to recruit you and talk to you. And then if you want to commit at that time, later on in time, we'll do it. If not, no hard feelings. We want you to go where you're happy, you and your family are happy, and where you want to be. He's big on that, and that's why he's that way.
This was a big get for Clemson, but I imagine the work's not done. What lies ahead for Clemson when it comes to that 2023 class?
Mm-hmm. Well, they still got they want to try to get a running back in. That's something that they haven't been able to get, and I think that's because they got 3 real good running backs in camp right now that give them that make it hard for somebody to want to come in and be a running back at Clemson because they got 3 guys that are very productive. And Will Shipley and Kobe Pace and Phil Maffa. That's another one they want. I think they still want to get a couple more guys on the defensive backside. I think they feel good about what they're done. I think on the defensive line, they've got some good defensive ends. They've got some, obviously some defensive tackles. Nick Easton and Lemansky Hall have done a heck of a job recruiting on that side of the ball. I think they'd like to get another linebacker or 2 in with this class. And so they got some work to do. They're not finished yet. I know Dabo's talked about getting up to around 23, 25 commitments. So they got a little bit more work to do. I think they want to try to get everything done before the season starts. They may have 1 or 2 guys they're still working on after the December early signing period. But right now they feel real good about where they're at and prospects. I mean, guys, they've had, 14 commitments since the first week of June? Yeah. I mean, they've really been busting it on the recruiting end.
Well, and now they want to try to rebound relatively. I mean, from a lot of schools, it would have been a solid year last year, but when you have the expectations of Clemson, it's kind of like Alabama in 2019. They didn't make the playoff, and so a lot of people were dismayed by that. Clemson took some steps back last year. A lot of it had to do with DJ Uiagalelei kind of struggling.
And 34 injuries.
Yeah, and injuries on the D-line, like Brian Brzee, Murphy, all these dudes weren't healthy on the D-line.
Wide receiver.
And then wide receiver. So a lot of it.
They had 7 scholarship players.
Yeah,
7 scholarship wide receivers go down with season-ending injuries. So, I mean, they were decimated on the injury side last year. A lot of people don't know that. It was really, like, Dabo even made the joke, okay, that things are not good when you're when Will Sweeney's starting in the slot the last 3 games of the season. He even made a joke of his own kid.
Yeah. That's right. I mean, and Alabama went through some of that, and it really cost them a national championship by the end when they didn't have some of their frontline guys. But talk about, DJU's development going into this year. And the thing that fascinates me the most is, again, Dabo's lost some key assistant coaches the last couple of years. He's really done a lot of promoting from within his program. Talk about the new staff and them needing to hit the ground running. Certainly Nick Eason's been a great addition, you just mentioned already.
Yeah, so, with DJ, they, obviously they spent a lot of time with him, and they got Cade Plugnick that came in camp in spring. Probably was the best thing to happen for DJ because he had serious competition, something he did not have last year. Let's just go ahead and call it what it is. That's why he wasn't replaced at quarterback, because there was no better option behind him. But now there is an option behind him, so that's going to make him a little better, I think, from that standpoint. Also, a lot of people don't know this. DJ played most of the year injured last year, and played through a lot of those injuries. Probably wouldn't have played as much if he had somebody that could come in behind him. So that kind of brought, not making excuses. Don't get me wrong. I'm not making excuses. His mentality was shot from his confidence from the beginning when Georgia sacked him 7 times. I mean, that took him a long time to get over.
Right.
Trust his offensive line. When a quarterback gets sacked that many times right out of the gate, he has trust issues with his offensive line, whether he admits it or not. It's there. So that's something they've had to work on with them, to trust his offensive line. And he got a little better through the course of the season. But then, like I said, he got injured, and that kind of was set him back a little bit as well. So, they're hoping that, and Dabo said he's their guy going into fall camp, and it's not even close, basically, is what Dabo said. So we'll see how improved he is. As far as the coaching staff goes, Brandon Streeter, who's been with Dabo since 2014, moved up as the offensive coordinator after Tony Elliott left. He's been the passing coordinator the last couple of years, been the quarterback's coach since 2014. He's got Dabo's philosophy, but he's got his own things he likes to do too. And one thing he likes to do is chuck the ball down the field. Remember, Brandon was a former quarterback at Clemson himself, and he loved to throw the deep ball. So I can see that's actually DJ's strength. So I think, you're going to see Clemson try to get more vertical they can, especially with these wide receivers coming back and being healthy. I think that's going to benefit there. And then, you look at Wes Goodwin on the defensive side as a new defensive coordinator. This is a guy that everybody wanted, including the NFL. Brent Venables wanted to take him with them. Probably would have been Brent Venables' defensive coordinator if Dabo would have allowed it to happen. But Dabo went ahead and promoted Wes Goodwin to be his defensive coordinator. So that they think a lot of this young man. He's a young coach, but he's guys. I watch the movie Beautiful Mind, and you'll understand who Wes Goodwin is. That's who he is in the football standpoint. He's unbelievable. And I've known Wes for about 10 years, ever since he was a GA at Clemson. And so he's a different kind of cat when it comes to X's and O's. And then, as you mentioned, bringing Nick Eason in, that's a big get for Clemson because he not only is a former Clemson guy, but he played in the NFL. He played on 2 Super Bowl teams, won a Super Bowl. He knows how to play at a high level and be successful. He played on arguably one of the best defenses in the history of the NFL with those 2008 Steelers. So, he brings a lot to the table. And then, as we've seen on the recruiting side, I mean, he's killing it. He is. Not just with what he did with Peter Woods, but with some other guys that he's brought in too. And so he's brought a lot in this year already, as they knew. And that's why Dabo wanted to get Nick in, because Nick just brings a lot to the table. His personality, who he is, how he coaches, all those things fit the Clemson, who they want at Clemson. And he's a former Clemson guy on top of it. You can't get any better than that, right?
No, you can't. You can't. So
perfect fit for Clemson, absolutely. And I guess, Will, to wrap it up with you, if this defense is healthy, the wide receiver room stays healthy, can Clemson climb the ladder back and reclaim their spot atop the ACC?
Yeah, I think Clemson is a team to beat in the ACC. I think the talent is too good for it not to be. If they're healthy, I don't know if anybody's as good or better. Now, it starts at quarterback and then on the offensive line. Clemson needs major improvement on the offensive line. There's no doubt about that. And, that especially it's going to be interesting what they do up the middle. They're going to have 2 new guys starting in different positions up the middle, as with a couple other guys that are out. So we'll see what happens there. I think if you're watching that Clemson offensive line, that's where you watch is those 3 positions up the middle and the interior of the offensive line. They're pretty strong on the outside. And so, if they can, their defense is so good, guys. I'm going to tell you this. Remember Georgia's defense last year? That's Clemson's defense this year. People don't know this. Clemson finished second in the country last year scoring defense. Finished in the top 6 in total defense, top 5 in run defense. They were one of the best defenses in the country last year, but nobody knew that because they had a down year, Clemson standards, going 10-3. So, but their defense, they come back, they bring basically everybody back. They're deep at defensive end and on the defensive tackle. They're loaded with talent in the secondary, and they might have their best set of linebackers since 1990 linebacking core that had guys that had 4 guys that went on to start and become all pros in the NFL. So this is a really rock solid defense. Dabo Swinney, and I agree with him, has said this is the best defense from defensive tackle to defensive end all the way through the secondary that he's ever had. So my point being, all this, guys, all they got to do is hold everybody to 20 points or less, and they're going to go undefeated. Now the question is, can they do that to Notre Dame? I think that's where the biggest obstacle lies for them.
Well, it's going to be interesting, certainly, to see Dabo and his new coaching staff, and with all this talent and being healthy, how this Clemson team bounces back, and DJ Uiagalelei maybe with more healthy weapons around him, how he plays. But Will, we appreciate the time as always and the insight into Clemson. No one does it better, and let everybody know how to connect with you and you guys over at Clemson SI.
Yeah, they can go to our Twitter account. That's all_Clemson. As you mentioned, we're part of the Sports Illustrated network. So you can go there. You can follow me at Steeler Will for articles as well, my stuff, as well as Jason Priester, our recruiting guy, does a great job. Brad Sinkoff, our another staff writer, does a great job. And Zach Lentz, our publisher, also helps out and does a good job. So yeah, we got a good team there. Try to put out as much content, and not just content to be content, but also just content that's good, quality content that you want to come and read and understand what's going on inside the Clemson program. So that's several ways. You can also listen to me on my podcast with LaVon Kirkland, Believe in Clemson Football. LaVon Kirkland, of course, a former Pittsburgh Steeler, former Clemson Tiger, Ring of Honor, now trying to get into the College Football Hall of Fame. We hope this year for him. So all pro with the Steelers, and just a great guy and knows his football, and he can talk a lot about a lot of different things and a lot of different aspects. But so you can check us out there at Believe in Clemson Football as well.
No doubt.
Thanks, Will.
Thanks, Will, and it's a perfect combo for you, brother.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you, man.
We got to get a break in. We're way behind. Live from Bill Penney Toyota next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Wendy's new Strawberry Frosty is here, so check your watch. Is it Frosty time yet? It probably is. The hour hand would be on, I'm feeling snacky. And the minute hand would be on, relaxing with a rich, creamy Strawberry Frosty on a summer day, just digging into that smooth, chilly deliciousness and vibing. Depending on what kind of watch you have. When it's time for Frosty time, choose wisely. Choose Wendy's Frosty and Classic Chocolate or New Strawberry.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's.
Equipment rental, Two Valley Equipment Rentals. And that's just what we have now. The original on the South Memorial Parkway between Drake and Airport Road, and their second location on North Memorial Parkway just north of Winchester Road. Valley Equipment is locally owned and has more skid steers, excavators, and lifts than anyone in the area, plus all the small tools that you need to get the job done like a pro. And if you are a pro, you need to check out the new North location now because Valley Equipment has what you need. Learn more at valleyequipmentrents.com.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
Did you know that your car, truck, or SUV may be worth over 30 or 40% more than it was last year? It's true. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and we'd love your trade-in for a personalized custom factory order on a 2022 Explorer, Expedition, Ranger, or F1. We interrupt this message to announce our $1,000 appreciation cash reward. Attention all active military, reservists, retirees, and all veterans, plus first responders, police, fire department, EMTs, and medical professionals. An appreciation for making Huntsville the great city it is. You'll receive a $1,000 exclusive reward in addition to any public offers on most all 22 Fords. So please come see us today. Our Ford Gold certified or low mileage, gently used vehicles with great warranties. At Woody Anderson Ford, whether it's a new order or a pre-owned, we promise to always do the right thing. Corner of Jordan and Sparkman. Hope to see you soon.
This time of year, it's hot, but with Brooks & Collier, you can be outside and comfortable. That's why Brooks & Collier has deep discounts on a large selection of patio umbrellas, furniture, and grills. With these patio umbrellas, you're sure to have a nice, shaded spot to relax. Lucy knows the best spot is a shaded spot. So if you're looking to spruce up your backyard and make it more comfortable, visit North Alabama's indoor and outdoor living headquarters for over 75 years. 813 Meridian Street and at brooksandcollier.com.
Good morning. Still looking for accidents this morning. We're just not finding anything. Traffic building in steadily. You're at a heavy traffic load on most of the routes, but we don't have any snags for you. You be careful. Maybe we can keep it that way. D&L Refrigeration repairs heating and air conditioning units for homes and businesses. D&L 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Nick in the North Parkway, Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
What's happening? All right, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Short time here in hour number 1. 256-576-4977. That's the number of the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. You can get in on the conversations this morning. And Major League Baseball news, the Atlanta Braves complete the sweep of the Washington Nationals yesterday, then acquire Robinson Cano for cash considerations from the San Diego Padres. Cano, though, has not appeared in a Major League All-Star game, has not appeared in a Major League game. He's only played in 24 games in 2022, and he has not played in a Major League game since June 1st. But the Braves do have him. He's gotten warmed up in AAA, so we'll see what he can do for Atlanta.
It's probably a situation where they're going to platoon him with Arcia, and he could be used off the bench as a pinch hitter. We all know Robinson Cano's best days are behind him as a Major League All-Star caliber player, but we don't know when Ozzie Albies is going to be back to play every day. We think it's probably going to be in August, but you don't know for sure. And Arcia has actually done a nice job as a starter for the most part for the Braves. But I think this is a situation where they didn't have to give up much, just cash considerations to strengthen their bench potentially with a veteran and a guy that's also good in the clubhouse that can probably give some veteran leadership there for them. But and Atlanta's been wanting another left-handed bat on their bench. And so this is a way to do it without affecting your core at all and really your minor league system. And, again, he wasn't playing much for the Padres, who have a good ball club in their own right. But they're going to get, at a cheap price, a guy like Robinson Cano, who's a Hall of Fame caliber player on the downside of his career. But still, he's a guy that has a lot of experience and could give you a valuable bench piece down the stretch of this pennant race. And we already talked about it. You said it in Zone Center, Scott, a 1.5 game lead for the Mets. The Braves have made up a lot of ground, and now they have the Mets in town for the first time this year in Atlanta for 3 games, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Max Fried, coming off of his first All-Star game selection, is going to be on the bump tonight against Max Scherzer.
Yeah, Max versus Max in Atlanta. Of course, download the 97.7 ESPN The Zone app, and you can take 97.7 ESPN The Zone wherever you go, and you can listen to the Braves and Mets tonight right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. That's going to do it for hour one of Talking Ball live from Bill Penney Toyota. We're going to kick off hour number two with some more college football talk. We've got some NCAA recommendations. They're going to tighten up that transfer window.
That's going to
Window's
be riveting.
not going to be as large to go through as you once thought it was, or once as we know it is. We'll let you know the recommendations coming up in hour two of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
The boys of summer are heating up. The Atlanta Braves are locked in and ready. And the Braves Radio Network's making sure you don't miss a single moment.
And he sends another drive to left. This might be a grand salami. It's gone. Home run.
Tonight, the huge division battle rolls on for the Braves in Atlanta as they square off with Francisco Lindor and the New York Mets. Braves Radio's on the air at 6:05 Eastern, 5:05 Central on the Braves Radio Network.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Good morning from the traffic center. Got a couple of wrecks working in Decatur now. One on 6th Avenue northbound at Wilson, also 131 at Plaza. And we got one on Oakwood west of the Parkway. That one's going to be a no injury, should be clearing pretty quick. Cajun Rice is back at Popeyes, and their 11-piece chicken family meal, 2 sides, 5 biscuits, is now only $22.99. Popeyes, University in Jordan, 72 in Jeff, and North Parkway. Captain Nick in the Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this Monday, expect a partly cloudy sky. High temperatures will be topping out in the lower 90s for the afternoon. Heat index values will be back in the upper 90s. For your Monday night, a mostly clear sky. Low temperatures expected to fall into the lower 70s for the overnight. I'm meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
After sweeping the Nationals with a 4-3 win in 12 innings in Game 3 Sunday, the Braves will host the Mets tonight. Atlanta minus 121 on the money line. The Mets at plus 111, the over-under at 7. The Braves trailing the Mets by a game and a half entering the 3-game series. After that, they will host the Nationals for 4 games before the All-Star break. The Tigers at the Royals for a doubleheader today. In Game 1, Detroit plus 118 on the money line. Kansas City minus 140, the over-under 9.5. Michael Pineda set to get the start for the Tigers in Game 1. The Royals will counter with Brad Keller. Red Hot winning picks at experts.winnersandwiners.com. Save 75% on any best bet package with the promo code ACTION75. That's ACTION75 at experts.winnersandwiners.com.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
All right, we are back. Hour 2, Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. We're sitting here inside the Bill Penney Toyota Service Department, where they can service your vehicle Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then on Saturday, if you want to get out here, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. All you got to do is pull right into one of their nice service bays and let Bill Penney Toyota Service Department take care of all your vehicle's needs. And the NCAA is trying to take care of everybody's transfer portal needs and transfer window needs, but they're also trying to strengthen it up, tighten it up a little bit. The NCAA Transformation Committee sent schools new recommendations, and these recommendations include a proposed transfer window. Now, they're not just going to say football and not just going to say basketball. They are lumping it all together for athletes that compete in fall sports. So football, volleyball, cross country. You would be able to enter the transfer portal for 45 days after championship games and from May 1st to May 15th. Those would be your transfer windows for the fall sports. So you would only be able to do it for 45 days after your championship games, and then from May 1st to May 15th.
I don't dislike it because I think that allows coaches and players alike to decide what they want to do with their futures.
Right.
And coaches to be able to manage their rosters, to know, because right now it's almost like the Wild West. You can be there one day and then the next day you're gone. Okay. And so, and then coaches, if you have a set time where people can go into the portal, in other words, once that time is gone, okay, you're thinking these guys are going to be on my roster.
Right. Right. You will know when.
This is what we're going forward with in the future. Otherwise, it can be right now. You can have a kid on your roster for 1 week, and then 2 weeks later, no matter what time of the year it is, Coach, I'm walking into the office and I'd like to be released. I'd like to go into the transfer portal and be gone. And I will say this: I don't think you see as much of it at this latest point in the summer. We did see a couple this weekend, but most of the time, because again, if you're in a fall sport and you're trying to lock yourself in to play, actually be a factor,
right,
then you need to already be on the team that you chose. So, but again, I do think it does need some regulation. Where schools are, because there's all the tampering that goes on, and we know it does. But I think in every sport there needs to be I don't mind the transfer portal. I think, once again, just like NIL, I think the players deserve a shot if they feel like they're not being developed properly or they're not happy where they are. You should be able to go somewhere else and not have to sit out. But I do think there needs to be a defined time that you can do that. In other words, make the decision by then. Don't, just all of a sudden at the last minute,
right,
put your program in a bind by like, hey, coach, by the way, I'm gone. I don't want to be here. And really, I know they don't have to quote unquote release you, but it's still the power of the player. And most of the time, a coach is going to release you. Most coaches take it like this. Like, I'll give an example of Patrick Murphy. There were 6 young ladies that left the Alabama softball program, and he said repeatedly, if you don't want to be here, I'm not making you stay. So, and these young ladies all basically chose right after the season ended to move on. And I think that's when you need to do it, like you said, for 45 days after you complete your season, your championship, and then maybe 2 weeks, maybe in the spring, give you a chance to move on. but I think I agree with that because I think that's better.
The spring. So here's what the spring sports, what they were doing, what they have sent a recommendation on, which is baseball, softball. They would have one 60-day window after championship games.
So there would not be 2 windows. There would be one.
Just
a
one
2-month window.
A 160-day window for the spring sports. Now, the new recommendation, this is where they're wanting to put the hammer down.
Yeah.
The new recommendation adds that entering the portal outside of those windows incurs a penalty of 1 year served in residence upon transfer.
In other words, sit out.
Yes.
Well, and I don't disagree with that. I think if you're going to move on and be eligible, which is what most of these people want, nobody wants to sit out, Scott, anymore.
Nope.
Okay? So I would agree with that. I know this is probably like people running into a ditch and hell freezing over and everything, but I do agree with the NCAA there. Like, you have the 2-month period in the spring to move on, and if you choose to do so, if you think your situation has changed dramatically, then go ahead and move on, but you have to sit out. Now, the only other caveat there is coaching changes, but I will say this. If there is a coaching change, like, for example, a Link Jarrett leaving Notre Dame to go to Florida State as the baseball coach, usually that's going to happen within that 60-day window.
Yeah, that would have happened within the 2 months. So
99% of coaching changes are going to happen right after a few weeks after a season.
Game. Yeah.
So that I think that works. I think that 60 days works, and then it allows players, say, to follow a coach. If I want to follow Link Jarrett to Florida State, whether I'm a recruit or whether I'm even at Notre Dame. Like, hey, I don't want to go back. I want to play for him. Then it allows that to happen.
Yeah, as a baseball or a softball coach, that you have 60 days to make sure your roster, basically you still have to recruit your roster again.
Right.
But you have 60 days to do so. You know the time frame. You know what you're up against. You know you don't have to keep doing it and wake up every morning for months upon months and hope that your roster is still intact. You have everything there. I think this is a good move by the NCAA. It would kind of put limitations on things. It would kind of rein it in just a little bit so it's not so complete wild, wild west. 256-576-4977. Give us your thoughts on everything that you have heard this morning here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Phil Steele has released his where is it at here? I do have it. Has released his college football top, I guess you could say top 40. And we have got that here. I know I have it here. I thought I had it here. Just got to give me a second, but I did have
he's going to be featured on the Tom Abraham show later this morning from 10 to noon with Tom Abraham and Chad Guathny. And, his magazine, his annual one coming out. Phil Steele's, it's always highly anticipated. A lot of information coming from Phil Steele. And he does the Tom Abraham show each and every year, and he will be on later this morning.
He did his top 40. And no surprise, Phil Steele puts Alabama number 1 in his top 40. He did put Ohio State number 2, Georgia 3, Clemson 4, and Michigan 5.
That's interesting.
Those are the top 5. No, Michigan based off last year. I mean, this is basically last year. I mean, I don't think there's any surprises.
And Michigan's had some coaching changes themselves because OC Josh Gaddis, who I believe won the Broyles Award, he heads off to Miami for the NIL and Ruiz and Mario Cristobal. I know this will be a shocker, but 5-star defensive end. He was from the state of Washington. He has migrated to IMG Academy. Jaden Wayne commits to Miami. So Miami continues their momentum in recruiting. Based upon NIL and the collective. I know Mario's a great recruiter, but let's not get it twisted. This is Texas A&M all over again. Most of these kids are being paid to come to Miami because they have no stadium. They have no tradition except for a 25-year period from 1979 to 2002, which was 20 years ago in a galaxy far, far away. They've never won the ACC, but again, they're taking advantage of the rules right now and these collectives, which I think will be changed within a couple years. But right now it's wide open. It's just like they're trying to streamline the transfer portal, Scott, and I predict it will be streamlined. Okay, and NIL will be eventually regulated, but right now it's not. So Miami, Tennessee, who got 2 more huge commitments, they're taking advantage of this. Louisville is taking advantage. They've been able to get some big time commitments under Scott Satterfield over there and get some momentum. So there are a handful of schools that are being ultra aggressive in the NIL situation. Now, Texas A&M put together that huge class last year.
Right.
Right now, they are not putting together that kind of class. But again, there's a long way to go. 5.5, 6 months till December, and so I'm sure that Texas A&M is going to make their play. And Texas has actually been loading up lately. Since they got Arch Manning, which we all said that was going to give Texas a lot of, momentum in recruiting.
Yes.
Because Arch was going to bring some talent with him. So Steve Sarkisian in Texas, though I don't know how much better they're going to be, and they lost to Kansas. They lost to Kansas last year at home, not in basketball. This was in football. So we'll see how much better that Texas is going to be in year 2. They need to improve a lot under Steve Sarkisian. Right. But, again, they are recruiting well.
So, Utah, number 6 in the Phil Steele top 40. Notre Dame, number 7. Oklahoma, 8. Texas A&M, number 9.
Don't know why.
In Phil Steele's top 40. He says Texas A&M was in a similar spotlight this last year but failed to live up to lofty expectations.
So, why are they going to now?
I don't know.
Because of the NIL collective? I mean, I don't really understand it. I mean, I know you base it on last year, and I know Texas A&M is going to have a talented roster, Scott.
Right.
But I'm still wouldn't be picking them even in the top 10. They're going to have to prove it. I'm not sure they're going to finish above 4th in their division. Okay? So, I mean, I'm just saying they didn't beat Ed Ogeron, who's out of coaching. They didn't beat the Pirate. They didn't beat Lane Kiffin. They struggled. They did not take care of business. They did not beat Sam Pittman. They beat Alabama because they had a horseshoe up their rear end, and they were lucky. Okay, they won the game, but a lot had to go their way.
Right.
And if they had played 10 times, they would have lost 9. That's pretty much a guarantee, in my opinion. Zach Calzada had a one moment in time kind of deal. We'll see if he can do that for Auburn. But I will say this. Zach Calzada trusted Dirtneck so much that he bailed about right after the season ended and got the hell out of Dodge.
Well, Phil Steele also loves the Pac-12 because he put Utah and Oregon inside the top 10.
No USC. That's
no USC, but he did put Utah and Oregon. So 2 Pac-12 teams inside.
I understand Utah because of Kyle Winningham, who's completely underrated and has done a great job there for years. I don't understand Oregon to a degree. I know they got Bo Nix, who may not even start because of Ty Thompson. And if that happens, that is just unreal because Bo Nix would have made the wrong move to end his career if he doesn't win this job. I still believe he will.
I think so.
I mean, I don't know why you go somewhere if you're Bo Nix and you don't win that job. I think he will. But here's the situation. They've got a new coaching staff, okay? Dan Lanning has never coached a game in his life as a head coach. He did a great job at Georgia as a defensive coordinator, okay? I'm not saying he didn't. He did it. He earned his stripes. He helped them win a national championship and put away all the Herschel Walker DVDs and VHS tapes that the Dog fans have been watching for years. There's no question about that. But he's never coached a game in his career as a head coach in college. And to put them in the top 10, to me, that's shaky, okay? I just think now if Mario Cristobal were still there and he had done well in the Pac-12, I can see that.
Right.
I can see it being top 10. But Mario went off to join forces with John Ruiz and buy a roster. So that's what they decided to do. But what's interesting is I just don't know that I'm buying the fact that Oregon's going to be a top 10 team with a brand new head coach. It's not like you made a point with LSU. Brian Kelly has run a program at several different places as a head coach,
right?
So he has experience.
Right.
Dan Lanning has never been a head coach, so I'm not sure I buy the fact that
a top
10 team in year one.
Pittsburgh number 11, and this is where it gets interesting. Miami number 12.
Well, they have a returning quarterback at least, and they do have Mario Cristobal, who has extensive head coaching experience now at Oregon and at Florida International.
He's showing a lot of love to the ACC, and I say that because Pittsburgh 11, Miami 12, NC State 13. So that's a lot of high praise for the ACC. Baylor in at 14, Oklahoma State 15, USC and Lincoln Riley check in at number 16. Then Gus Malzahn and UCF at number 17.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The Gus bus with all his transfers.
And then Texas at number 18. Intriguing there because if they finish number 18 or if they are that low in the top 25, kind of maybe a disappointing year for Steve Sarkisian and you're number 2, you would say, yeah?
They need to win at least 8 to kind of keep the Wolves at bay because, Tom Herman got viciously criticized, but he went to 4 bowl games and won them all. He didn't lose to Kansas. He didn't lose to Kansas. He didn't lose to Kansas. At home. So that and this is a program once again that we've made. The analogy of they're letting people in free to the Oklahoma game.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This is a terrible football program. But again, I think Alabama's going to get their best shot. Certainly, Steve Sarkisian. Learned under Nick Saban and was there for a long time. Got a lot of coaches on his staff that were at Alabama. So they're going to come out guns blazing and certainly try to make a statement and beat the Crimson Tide, in the second week in Austin. It's going to be an early game. We already made, reference to that. It's going to be like 11 a.m., so it's going to be hot. So it's going to be
boiler.
So it's going to be really interesting to see how that game goes. They got Bijan Robinson, who's one of the best running backs in college football. A guy that can run, catch, block. He can do it all. So it's going to be interesting. And Sark is a great offensive mind. He'll have some things designed to take advantage of Alabama. But Alabama, they don't have any excuses. They've got nearly their entire defensive coaching staff back. I know Coleman Hutzler has been brought in for Sal Sunseri, who's now off the field. But they have their whole coaching staff back. They have a veteran defense on all 3 levels. We heard from Will Vandervert. He's talking about how good Clemson's defense could be with all the people back via injury and the experience they had last year. And as he said, defense really still wasn't the problem for Clemson last year. It was offensively and all the injuries to the wide receiver room, the running back room struggling a little bit with some injuries, and DJU not playing at a high level and consistently, but the defense was really good. So, again, they expect to be good defensively, but Alabama should be good defensively. They have the best player in college football in Will Anderson, in my opinion, and they've got Dallas Turner. So if this Alabama defense is healthy, then Alabama should whip Texas ass, and they should whip it good.
All right, so Phil still did a top 40.
Yeah.
And so here are some of the highlights that teams come into in his top 40. He has UAB checking in at number 21. That is good there for the Blazers. Michigan State at number 23. Tennessee, he puts at number 27, just outside the top 25, just behind Cincinnati at 25 and BYU at 26. He puts Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin at number 30. Louisville at number 33. Florida and Billy Napier check in at number 32. And then the rest, he has Kentucky at number 35, Arkansas at 36. Then he has Minnesota 37, Kansas State 38, Appalachian State 39, and Fresno State checks in at number 40. That's Phil Steele's preseason top 40.
So the Fighting Lane Kiffins wrap it up, or the Trent Dilfers, whatever you want to call them, wrap up the top 40 at Fresno State. Who knows? By then they may be in the Pac-12.
So that is, I thought that was interesting. I did. I thought that was interesting. Phil Steele's top, his rankings. Now, he does predict his college football playoff finalist for the year as well.
Yeah.
And he says Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State,
Clemson,
and Clemson. Those are the four that he puts back into the college football playoffs. Kind of the same old rhetoric there. No surprises. Are you shocked by that at all?
Not shocked at all. A lot of people think Clemson's going to bounce back, and their schedule's pretty easy. You just heard Will Vanderbilt talk about it. It's really going to come down to Notre Dame. He basically said if Clemson can hold teams to 20 points or below, he feels like they're going to go undefeated. Notre Dame, but they have Marcus Freeman. They have a new head coach as well. So we don't know yet how good Notre Dame is going to be. So he feels like Notre Dame may be the biggest test for Clemson in the regular season. And again, we don't know how good Miami is going to be in year one under Mario Cristobal.
So he also did say, and he did say that, hey, Phil Steele also believes that Auburn is going to surprise some people in the SEC this year, especially in the SEC West. He says, I think Auburn this year has a much higher buy-in level than they did last year, and they've got talent. He says, I think Auburn is going to surprise some people.
I definitely don't think they're going to finish last in the West. I certainly won't predict that. I think they have some players. It's just going to come down to how productive a guy like Zach Calzada or TJ Finley. It's going to be one of those two guys, Scott, to me, that's going to be the quarterback. I don't think it's going to be Robbie Ashford or Grenier, Holden Grenier. I don't think it's going to be the true freshman.
Right.
I don't think it's going to be the transfer from Oregon and Ashford. I think Ashford's a hell of an athlete. And I think the young man, Holden Grenier, I think he needs to, develop in redshirt. But I think he has some tools. There's no doubt about that. But I think it's going to be either Zach Calzada or TJ Finley, no question about it. And I think it's going to be one of those two. And I think Calzada's the favorite from the insiders that follow that program. And he certainly has a few more skins on the wall than TJ Finley, even though Finley has been at LSU and at Auburn now for a year and seen some playing time at both places. But Calzada beat Alabama. Zach Calzada started for the majority of the season when Haynes King went down for Texas A&M. So I think he's got a lot of experience now. He's coming off of a shoulder injury of his own, and he didn't go through spring practice. But again, if you had to ask me, I would say the same thing. I think that we're going to see a guy like Zach Calzada be the starting quarterback.
All right, I tell you what, let's get a break in, because we do need to get that break in, because when we come back, we're going to talk some Tennessee football recruiting. Ryan Callahan going to dial in as we get the news and the latest on Rocky Top for Big Orange.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got several snags in Decatur this morning. Newest wrecks, Point Mallard at Central. That one's got northbound blockage. I don't think there's any injuries there. 6th Avenue northbound at Wilson, maybe trying to clear. 31 in Plaza also trying to wrap up. And we had one on Oakwood west of the Parkway, not much to it. It should be wrapped up as well. Need a temp or an addition for your staff? Snelling specializes in admin, accounting, and medical placement. Snelling, how Huntsville's best companies hire talent. 256-382-4000. Captain Nick in the North Parkway, Popeyes, Skywatch Traffic Center.
McCurry Motors is your car and van rental headquarters. You can rent the vehicle you need today. Family in town, sporting event, church function, no matter what your need, McCurry Motors has you covered with a wide selection of cars and vans available for rent. They have 12-passenger Mercedes Sprinter vans, 12-passenger Ford Transit vans, 15-passenger Ford Transit vans, and 15-passenger Chevrolet Express vans. They have 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville.
Great food and the best live entertainment is what it's all about at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. Head to downtown Huntsville every Tuesday for karaoke on the only outdoor karaoke stage in North Alabama. Thursday night is the Valley's longest running and biggest bike night. Food and drink specials, giveaways, and live music on the patio. And the Furniture Factory menu is fully loaded with options from steaks to salads, plus a whole lot more. Featuring a weekday happy hour that starts at 3. 619 Meridian Street, downtown Huntsville, and online at FurnitureFactoryBarGrill.com.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You know, you'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us, too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This time of year, it's hot, but with Brooks & Collier, you can be outside and comfortable. That's why Brooks & Collier has deep discounts on a large selection of patio umbrellas, furniture, and grills. With these patio umbrellas, you're sure to have a nice, shaded spot to relax. Lucy knows the best spot is a shaded spot. So if you're looking to spruce up your backyard and make it more comfortable, visit North Alabama's indoor and outdoor living headquarters for over 75 years. 813 Meridian Street and at brooksandcollier.com.
The boys of summer are heating up. The Atlanta Braves are locked in and ready. And the Braves Radio Network's making sure you don't miss a single moment.
And he sends another drive to left. This might be a grand salami. It's gone. Home run.
Tonight, the huge division battle rolls on for the Braves in Atlanta as they square off with Francisco Lindor and the New York Mets. Braves Radio's on the air at 6:05 Eastern, 5:05 Central on the Braves Radio Network.
All the press conferences.
It's our mental energy. I would say spend less time complaining about, when I was going to get an opportunity. Just spend more time training and working towards.
Plus, all of the rat poison is served up right here.
It's yummy.
On 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Paul Feinbaum. Listen to me coming up today at 2. Now back to Talking Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone, live from Bill Penney Toyota. And when you start to think about Tennessee and their football recruiting, you look at what Josh Heupel is doing. And this, believe it or not, he put together a class last year. Mm-hmm. But this is really Josh Heupel's first full recruiting off season. Last year, he got in there a little late, had to put something together in his first class. But this is his first full off season, Drew. And he's putting together probably one of the best recruiting classes in a long time on Rocky Top.
Well, probably since the days of Butch Jones right now. I think Butch had at least one top 5 class, if not 2, during his tenure on Rocky Top. And right now they have a ton of commitments, too. They have 18 committed in the 2023 classes. We talked to Will Vanderbilt in the first hour. He talked about how Clemson wants to be done, Scott. They want to sign 23 or 25 dudes, and they'd like to have it all done before the first game. We don't know what Tennessee's philosophy is, but they certainly have the number 5 class right now, composite ranking in the 24/7 sports rankings. They have 18 committed, and they got a huge piece of the puzzle from the state of Missouri. Maybe the top edge rusher in the country committed this past weekend. And as we went into the weekend, going into Friday into Saturday, they go into Alpharetta, Georgia via Denmark, and they get Sham Umarov, a huge offensive lineman, because they've been trying to upgrade that O-line to surround Nico Iamaleava with talent. And we're going to talk about all that with our next guest. He's the recruiting editor for GoVols 24/7. He's been with us many times, and they are affiliated with the Knoxville News Sentinel, and that is Ryan Callahan, who's been good enough to join us again on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline to talk some Vols recruiting this morning. Ryan, welcome back to the show. You're with Drew and Scott. How are you, sir?
Hey, doing great. How are you?
We're doing well, and certainly Josh Heupel and his coaching staff have got to be feeling pretty good right now.
Yeah, I would say so. It's been set up, as many of these runs often are, for a few weeks or a couple weeks at least. It looked like this was likely to play out this way, but and they've not gotten everybody certainly that they want to get during this run, but they've that's 7 commitments total in the first 10 days of the month. 6 of them from the 2023 class. One, as we talked about last week, Jonathan Eccles, a 5-star in the 2024 class. So that's a pretty impressive run, and as you said, up to 18 commitments. They've now got, counting Shondavian Bradley, the edge rusher from yesterday, Tennessee landing him from the Kansas City area. Counting him, they now have 2 24/7 Sports Composite 5-stars in this class. They have 2 of the top 10 edge rushers in the 2023 class, including Caleb Herring, the number 1 player from the state of Tennessee. So it's a very good looking class on paper. They've still got a lot of work to do. The reality is, they're number 5 right now, and this is the tough part. It's a very competitive year. Last year I thought the top 5 was so strong, so much better than everybody else in the country that the classes that were ranked 6 through 10 were probably a little bit watered down because you had Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State. All those teams' classes were so good that it just didn't leave as much out there for other teams to get. This year, there's so many teams in the mix, so many teams getting good players that I think getting a spot in the top 10 in the long run still is going to be a challenge for Tennessee. But they're very much in that mix now, and this type of run, it not only does it give you a chance to do that, it just gives you a much more solid-looking roster with some big players. Someone pointed this out also in GoVols 24/7. A lot of players 6'4", 6'3", and taller. Tennessee getting much bigger across its roster, even at the quarterback position with this class. You're getting some great athletes, some highly ranked prospects, and certainly getting your name in the national discussion. So an impressive job by this staff, and still a lot more work to do.
Well, Ryan, it's impressive too. And just listening to you, I mean, you're mentioning that they're getting one of the best kids out of the state of Tennessee, so they're trying to shore up the in-state recruiting, which over the past few seasons has been kind of tough for Tennessee, and also getting some talent out of the state of Georgia.
They've done a really good job in the state of Georgia the past 2 years. Some of their best work in the 2022 class, especially late, was in the Atlanta area, getting guys like Caleb Webb, 4-star receiver, Justin Williams-Thomas, 4-star running back. So right back to work there, and no doubt some of their best players from this class so far are from that area. You mentioned Shamrod Umarov, the 4-star offensive lineman. I think that's in some ways a sneaky good pickup. He's a top 247 prospect on 24/7 Sports, so not an under the radar prospect by any means, but you're battling Georgia, Michigan State, LSU for him. But that is one that I think people will look back on and say that was a really big piece for Tennessee's offensive line. He's just a massive human being, just 6'6", 337 pounds, and really doesn't have any bad weight, or certainly not much. He's just a guy with massive thighs. Just the shoulders are starting to catch up to the rest of his body. He's just huge. So he could be a 335-pound offensive lineman and really not be sloppy looking in any way. So they've that's a nice addition for the offensive line. And then certainly yesterday adding another elite edge rusher to go along with Caleb Herring is huge. And to go to the Kansas City area to do it, unusual. And then right back to the Atlanta area to get linebacker Jalen Smith, I think another sneaky good addition from Grayson High School. So Atlanta's where they've done some of their best work. Ethan Davis, another one of the top players in this class from the Atlanta area, an elite tight end from Collins Hill High School in Sewanee, Georgia. So they continue to do a good job there, and have been in on a lot of guys early that have kind of helped them have a chance at some really good players. But as we know, you can find talent in Atlanta. It's an over-recruited area on some level, but Georgia, Alabama, those types of programs, they can't take all of those guys there, so you're going to have a chance to get some. And they've done a good job of finding some guys they can get and closing the deal.
Well, and for our listeners, you follow it every day, so you kind of know it. And you even talked about it being set up. And what we mean by set up is they were expecting, they had kind of put the pieces in place to have a big run over the last few weeks to start building this class. A lot of schools, we just talked to Will Vanderbilt from Clemson SI. Clemson trying to wrap up their class, if possible, by the end of the summer. But talk about how they set this recruitment up with Shadavian Bradley. He's the number one prospect in Missouri. We certainly know, that the Missouri Tigers are in the SEC. They've been to a couple SEC championship games, but it's still Kansas City. When you think about it, is not an area where we've seen Tennessee like in Atlanta. When Tennessee's been rolling, they have recruited Georgia very well. They have recruited the Southeast, but we haven't heard of them going to Kansas City and in the state of Missouri to get players. How did this kind of come about?
Yeah, definitely outside their usual comfort zone. And usually when they recruit Missouri, it's more the St. Louis area, you know, on that eastern side, not going all the way over to Kansas City. That's more Big 12 territory. Oklahoma gets a lot of players out of there, Nebraska. So for them to go over there and find a guy like that, find an opportunity, that's the big thing. I think the door was open for someone to make a move with Shadavian Bradley because early in his recruitment, Oklahoma was the favorite. And then Lincoln Riley's staff left for USC and, opened the door because Oklahoma was no longer quite the shoe-in or likely favorite that they appeared to be. And then things just never really took off with the new staff at Oklahoma and Shadavian Bradley. And so that created an opening for someone to fill that void and become the team to beat. And really pretty quickly after Tennessee offered in February, it became the Vols that were the favorites. He had never visited Tennessee's campus in March, and one of our writers for the 24/7 Sports Oklahoma site, Parker Thune, put in a crystal ball pick for Tennessee way back then because he knew how high he was already on Tennessee and thought that once he visited that they would become the favorite, and that's exactly what happened. He visited finally in late May. That made Tennessee the team to beat, and I think he pretty much knew his decision from that point on. Just a matter of taking a couple of official visits in June and deciding when he wanted to finalize it. So that's one that has been in the works for a while, and he announced it yesterday, kind of surprising people a little bit with the date. Word started to leak out finally a couple days before, but yeah, he tried to catch people off guard a little bit with that one, and after not really indicating the July decision was likely. So yeah, they had some like that, and a lot of guys obviously making July decisions. That's how this was kind of set up, where you knew guys wanted to make decisions before their senior seasons. Still a few more guys out there who could announce decisions this month and could end up in Tennessee's class. So they're certainly not done for the summer just yet, but it does look like the heaviest part of this month is behind them. And at 18 commitments, that's a pretty good number. I think most years you'd like to have 15 to 20 commitments probably by the end of the summer to leave yourself some room to add some good players down the stretch, but to not have so much work to do during the season that it becomes a hindrance, with what you have to do on the field. So I think that's a pretty healthy number and puts Tennessee in a good spot to just kind of pick and choose a little bit more at some positions to address some remaining needs.
Yeah, where do they pick and choose for those needs?
Yeah. Well, still a lot of work to do at a couple positions, I would say. They still need more cornerback help. They have one cornerback in this class, 3 safeties. They've done a good job of addressing that position in this class, but still need to continue to kind of retool the secondary. So I would say ideally a couple more cornerbacks. The defensive line is a big need. Even we mentioned they've got a couple of good edge rushers in this class, but as far as true defensive linemen, guys who are going to have their hand on the ground all the time, really only one guy in this class right now that's a surefire defensive lineman. That's Tyree Weathersby. They do have a 2A lineman from nearby Knoxville Catholic High School and Trevor Duncan, and Nathan Robinson as well from Greenbrier High School. But those guys have a little more position versatility. So you could say they maybe have a couple defensive linemen in this class, but still need a couple more, I think, to go along with what they already have. And they certainly got some been in the mix for a lot of big name guys. But Hunter Osborne is still out there from Alabama, 4-star that's been a priority for Tennessee. They need to win some battles like that on the defensive line to fill out that position group. and then still need some receiver help. They're not particularly deep at receiver in this class yet. Nathan Spillman, an in-state receiver, they've landed him, and that's that's pretty much it. So they've got to find some receiver help, and Nathan Leacock out of North Carolina, one of their best options right now. That's a position where they've had a couple of noteworthy misses, not getting Malik Benson, the junior college receiver that picked Alabama a couple weeks, just last week actually, and then also missing out, of course, on Carnell Tate, the 5-star who picked Ohio State. So we'll see if they can land Nathan Leacock at some point this summer as he looks to make a decision this month or next month, and then also just where else they go at the receiver position, continuing looking for some targets for Nico Iamaleava. They do have an athlete that they landed last week in Cameron Selden, who's a running back receiver type player. So he certainly could fit into those receiver plans, but still need some additional help there on offense.
Yeah, talk a little bit about Cameron Selden. I mean, when we last spoke with you, you felt good about that one. I think he was going to choose later in the day, and you said Tennessee had positioned themselves strongly there. He's a guy that had one of his seasons cut short due to COVID, but is someone that it seems to be a dynamic offensive player that'll be an interesting weapon for Josh Heupel.
He's a fascinating prospect from an area that you really don't see recruited a whole lot. Part of Virginia, or he's about 2 hours south of D.C., but kind of in the middle of nowhere in a really small community. Plays at a school of about 400 kids, and the last couple of years has played a total of 9 games, 4 games one season, 5 games last season, because of COVID cancellations from different schools and a number of different things. They're playing such small schools, it's easy for a game to be postponed when you have 10 guys out or something like that. So they've had some challenges, and that's limited his film. Some of the games he's played into have been complete blowouts for his team, where he's not even in the game by the second or third quarter. So they've really not gotten a chance to see what he can do in some ways because he's so limited on experience. But he is a big kid, about 6'1", 219, 220 pounds. And then ran a 10.74 in the 100 meters this spring. So you put a guy like that out there against the competition he's facing all the time, and he's dominant. So now the tricky part is you don't see him in a lot of camps. We've not seen him much in that kind of setting to know against similar competition what he can do, but there's a lot to like about him on film. So I think Tennessee sees him as kind of just a little bit of a Swiss Army knife on offense, and has mentioned kind of a Deebo Samuel type role where he can play some receiver, line up in the backfield because he's got such a big frame and has done some of that in high school as well. That's a nice weapon to add to this offense. But just, how good is he and where will he finish in the rankings? I'm fascinated by that one because not a lot of people have seen much of him at all with just where he's located. And that also kind of kept his offer list from blowing up. So nice pickup there by Tennessee, but certainly one they needed again after a couple of those misses at the receiver position. If he can help at receiver, that's potentially a very big pickup for this offense, needing some help for Nico Iamaleava.
Wrapping it up with Ryan Callahan, the recruiting editor for GoVols 24/7, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. Now, to wrap it up, Ryan, you mentioned it earlier in our conversation, but could be some more good news in the month of July for Tennessee. Who are the next target or two to watch that could be on commitment watch to potentially choose the Vols?
Well, one is announcing today. I don't think it's likely to go Tennessee's way, but 4-star offensive tackle Lucas Simmons out of Clearwater, Florida, is announcing his decision this afternoon, actually about noon Central Time. We'll have that one on CBS Sports HQ. But Florida State, probably the favorite in that one going into that announcement, but Tennessee has been maybe Florida State's closest competition down the stretch for him. That's been a real battle. So we'll see if Tennessee can pull the upset there. Beyond that, though, a lot of guys who haven't announced decision dates yet, but could make decisions. We think Stanton Ramil, the 4-star tackle from Thompson High School there in Alabama, will announce a decision at some point this month. That looks like maybe a Tennessee, Michigan State, Penn State kind of battle. Clemson's been heavily involved there, but not sure exactly where things stand with them right now. Auburn's tried, but they don't seem to be as much of a contender right now from what we've heard. So Tennessee, I think, one of the top contenders there and has a real shot, but we don't know exactly when he will announce the decision. Mentioned Nathan Leacock, the receiver from Raleigh, North Carolina. Tennessee's got a real shot there. He could announce a decision this month. And then you look at maybe guys like Ricky Gibson, cornerback also from Alabama, that Tennessee's in pretty good shape with, kind of a Tennessee-Arkansas battle it looks like at the moment. So some possibilities still out there, but how many and when they announce, kind of remains to be seen. A couple others maybe who could squeeze into that summer commitment picture as well. So definitely not done, but again, this big run of the first 10 days of the month probably will slow down at least a little bit after yesterday's 2 editions.
Well, we always appreciate the knowledge from you. Great job. We really appreciate it. Ryan, you joining us and updating us on Tennessee's class up to 5th in the 24/7 Sports Composite rankings. Let everybody know how to connect with Go Vols 24/7.
Yeah, check out the website. Plenty of coverage as we continue to look ahead to what's next for Tennessee, look ahead to SEC Media Days and preseason camp and all that stuff just around the corner as well. Lots to check out at GoVols247.com, and you can follow me on Twitter as well at Ryan Callahan 247.
Yeah, well, we hope to see you in Atlanta, brother. Thank you for joining us.
Looking forward to it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks. All right, Ryan Callahan helps us get to our final break. Your tomorrow's headlines today, and oh my goodness, Zach Wilson, biggest headline.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
The world champs are back. The Braves are out to defend their world championship. And behind Matt Olson, Ronald Acuna, Dansby Swanson, Max Fried, and this loaded 2022 roster, a repeat is within reach.
There goes Ozzie. 2-2 on the way. Hit well. Deep center field. Might have ourselves a tie ball game. You betcha.
And we'll bring you every huge moment of the Braves 2022 season right here on the Atlanta Braves Radio Network.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
Welcome to Allstate, where we bring it all together. And bundling your home and auto is good, right? And it saves you up to 25%. It all comes together. Allstate. Here, better protection costs a whole lot less. You're in good hands with Allstate. Click, call, or visit allstate.com to save today.
Bundled savings discounts will vary by state. Saving up to 25% is a countrywide average of savings off the home policy. Combining the multiple policy discount for having auto insurance with Allstate and the welcome discount savings at enrollment.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Got several snags in Decatur this morning. Newest wrecks Point Mallard at Central. That one's got northbound blockage. I don't think there's any injuries there. 6th Avenue northbound at Wilson, maybe trying to clear. 31 in Plaza also trying to wrap up. And we had one on Oakwood west of the Parkway. Not much to it. It should be wrapped up as well. Need a temp or an addition for your staff? Snelling specializes in admin, accounting, and medical placement. Snelling, how Huntsville's best companies hire talent. 256-382-4000. Captain Nick in the North Parkway, Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com. It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Social media, especially on Twitter, really it went full on 5-alarm blaze last night, and it has not settled down anymore, and that is with Zach Wilson, the New York Jets quarterback. I don't know if you heard about this or not.
I haven't.
Oh, my goodness.
He was overdrafted, by the way.
Well, the drama began on Instagram, actually, when someone accused Wilson's ex-girlfriend of being a homie hopper. That was the term.
Okay.
Okay.
Is this like going from one Jet to another?
Basically.
Okay.
Another player to another,
right,
because she broke up with him. Now she's dating Washington Commanders wide receiver Dax Milline or whatever. He was a former teammate of Wilson. Okay, so that's where it all started.
Mm-hmm.
She then responded by saying that Wilson was the real homie hopper.
Oh. So
because he has allegedly slept with his mother's best friend.
Oh, this is interesting.
So now everybody is all over Zach Wilson from the Jets.
Lord.
The revelation sent Twitter ablaze last night with the training camp only a few days away. The comments are just unreal about all of this.
Just remember that we don't know what all of this is true, because there was a lot of trash put out there about Brian Harsin and his family, which should never have been intimated, and we really hated to see that. And so when all this personal stuff starts getting thrown around on social media now, of course, it's being attributed to an ex-girlfriend and things like that situation. But
it's just
drama.
It is something that is caught the attention of social media. The other one, I don't know. Okay, so I don't know if this will be something that will change in my mind. I mean, it's something I'm still going to call it. But we will not have Heinz Field no longer in Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh Steelers announcing this morning that it was kind of a surprising news that Heinz Field, the Pittsburgh Steelers have decided not to extend, and Heinz Ketchup has decided not to extend their agreement through 2022. So this coming year, Heinz Field will have a new name.
New sponsor.
And they've already come up with the name. They've released it. I cannot imagine. I cannot pronounce it. But anyway, no more Heinz Field for the Pittsburgh Steelers there. That is something that is pretty. It's going to be ACRIS Acrisure Field. Our stadium is what it's going to be called now. So
I'm more disturbed by the all-star snub of Austin Riley, who hit his 23rd home run yesterday and then knocked in the winning run for the Braves to sweep the Nationals. The Braves have the 3 games you mentioned with the Mets coming up, and then they go on a 4-game road trip before the all-star break to Washington to end the first half. They have a chance to overtake the Mets potentially.
Right.
No lock to do that. But Austin Riley, I think his average is now over 280, 23 home runs. He's been red hot in the month of July. He's played outstanding defense as usual. Now, I know there's 2 good players in front of him, of Manny Machado, who I think is overrated, and Nolan Arenado of the St. Louis Cardinals, who I think is a really good player. Machado, I'm not as impressed with. I don't think he's done much in the postseason. When he was with the Dodgers, remember he got traded a few years ago. Before he signed that huge deal with the Padres, when the Orioles let him go, I didn't think he, acquitted himself well in the postseason. I think Austin's a better player, but again, it's all about having to get every team represented. I know that was part of the reason that Juan Soto made it. I'm hoping that Austin will be named to the team maybe at a later date with some guys that maybe bow out. But I certainly think that he deserves an opportunity to be there. And I hate it for Kyle Wright, too, because Kyle Wright We're great friends with his father, Roger Wright. Kyle, a former Buckhorn star, Vandy star, nearly, I think just one win away from tying for the major league lead right now, and would have had that if it wasn't for some rain in the prior start to this weekend. But he won his 10th game this weekend. He's 10-4 with an ERA, I believe, under 3, and he's just had a breakthrough year. I'm hoping maybe he could be a late addition as well. But he's certainly had an all-star caliber first half also.
You look at some of the other names that are snubbed: Josh Bell, Freddie Freeman, Francisco Lindor, Brandon Drury, Brian Reynolds, Aaron Nola, Carlos Rondon. All of those snubbed on the National League side. On the American League side, Anthony Rizzo from the Yankees was snubbed. Corey Seager from the Rangers. Trevor Story from the Red Sox. J.D. Martinez from the Red Sox, who's batting .312. Robbie Ray, Logan Gilbert, Dylan Case, Michael King. There's a lot of guys that got snubbed from the All-Star break. Freddie Freeman, by the way, is batting .304. 11 home runs and 54 RBIs. He is snubbed from the LA Dodgers as well. So a lot of big names not headed into the All-Star game. But a lot of guys, when you get there, they, especially on the pitching side, if they know they're going to be pitching, a couple days after the All-Star break or whatever, or they pitched right before the All-Star break, they won't pitch in the All-Star game, and so usually you have pitching replacements galore there in the All-Star game. That's going to do it for our 2 hours. Going to be back in studio tomorrow morning. Good time here, Bill Penney Toyota. Good time. Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday on Friday, Saturday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Get on out here, Bill Penney Toyota.